So we begin with the altruistic motivation. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang war je pe dra no pa je pe ge. Dar pa dang tam she ken pe bar du jo pa je pa tam she ki so je pe. Manam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang gen. Dog now dong drell nor du la na me pa yang dag pa zog pe zhang ju brin po she do pa ja. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Te she du sang ma ge gi ba du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she ba du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Du de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi ba du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Transcend sawa dangur pa je pe pal dan la ma dam pa nam la kab su chi o. Ye dam kil gorgi la sok nam la kab su chi o. Sangye chom den de nam la kab su chi o. Dam pe cho nam la kab su chi o. Pa pe ge du nam la kab su chi o. Pa wo ka jo cho kyong song me song yeshe gi cheng dang dem pa nam la kab su chi o. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangshu Ningpo Chiki Bar Sangye Namla Kyabsu Chi Chodang Shangshub Sampayi Soklang Deshin Kyabsu Chi Zitar Nongki Deshegi Shangshub Togni Ki Padang Shangshub Sampe La Pala They Dagrim Shin A Patar They Shendro La Pandandu Shangshub Samni Kiki Shing They Shindu Ni La Pala Rimpa Shindu La Pa Ji-o. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chonamla Shangshu Badu Dagni Kapsu Chi Dagi Jinsoki Pe Sonamgi Drola Panshir Sangye Jupasho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pesem centam she dewadang dewe gurdang dempa jorchik. Dug now dang du now gi gu dang dra war jorchik. Dug now me pe de wa dang bi dra war jorchik. Nei ring chak dang ni dang dra wei tang nam la ne pa jorchi. Page 12, please. The Sagaramati requested sutra in English. Likewise be extinguished all enemies to my purpose. Whatever evil forces are in me, be defeated. Do this so that when I am victorious, all pure radiance melts into me, completely purified. Take all this knowledge, food and drink peacefully, enjoy it, and be satisfied, so that all obstacles may be destroyed. Be liberated from all obstacles, all general obstacles. Maras are defeated by this gesture of the Buddha. By reciting this mantra, may all the Maras be purified. As a result, may all the Maras be defeated. Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments, something you want to talk about before we get started? Okay. I have two announcements. First is that we're going to consolidate our Zoom so that going forward, this Zoom that we're on now, this Zoom link, is going to be the Monday night Buddhism 101 Zoom. So we'll be using this one Zoom for all our functions. So for the Medicine Buddha on Thursday night, for the Monday night, and for the Sunday, we'll be continuing to do this. The second announcement is that some events are coming up in Dharma Surya next week and the following week. Next week is going to be a practice and study, a talk, a teaching on Shamatha meditation by Khenpo Samdop, which will be very good. And I recommend anybody who hasn't had that to take that teaching and to engage in that practice on Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday, we will continue doing what we're doing here. So if you join the Dharma Surya group, that's fine. This will be recorded and you'll be able to see it again on the YouTube, as all the others are on YouTube. However, going forward, after that in May, we'll have a later start. I'll have to make an announcement as to when that's going to be, because I have to look at the calendar and think about that. But the first weekend in May at Dharma Surya is going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, is going to be a Mani Drupshan. A Mani Drupshan is one of the most profound of all the retreats, all the practice retreats that is done in all of Tibetan Buddhism. It becomes the foundation of so many other things. So I really recommend everybody to join that, who can, either by Zoom or in person, especially in person. It's very moving because the mantra is very powerful. It's Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. And but the melodies are very powerful, and the practice that you'll recite, or that you'll recognize the instructions and so on, are so fundamental to all the other practices that we do. So I really recommend that. It is a true gift to be able to partake of that. So usually the Mani Drupshan is done once a year, sometimes twice a year, and so that's my second announcement. Okay, so unless somebody has another comment or question, we'll start into our talk today. Okay. All right, so I hope everybody has a pencil and paper, take some notes, refer to some things. So I'm going to screen share. Let me see, I want something else here. Okay, so what we have been talking about, if you all recall, is the 6 human realms. So here is another illustration of that. And we have the 6 realms that are here in the center, and the very center is the hub. We've talked about that. We talked about the outer ring. We talked about that. And we mentioned that all of this is in the grasp of Mara, who is representative of our demons within ourselves that are creating this. We are grasping at this life in these 6 realms. These 6 human realms make up this life that we have. The Buddha up here in the upper right-hand corner, as we face this illustration, is pointing the way to nirvana, pointing the way to the 4 noble truths, to the Eightfold Path, as the liberation from this wheel of samsara, this wheel of existence that's being held by this Mara, this demon. Now, the one thing that we haven't discussed that we need to discuss today, start to discuss today, is this outer ring that is actually like a shell. These are the 12 links of interdependent origination. Interdependent origination. Sometimes it's called the chain of conditioned arising. It's got several different names. Dependent origination is another name, the 12 links of dependent origination. So what this is saying is that these 12 links are interconnected with each other, and is the progression that a human being goes through in a lifetime as they are going through the six realms. So the six realms are the ways in which this life is being characterized. Sometimes we feel like we're in a hell. Sometimes we feel like we're in a God realm. Sometimes we feel like we're a human being, etc. And so the way in which we do that in all the different times of our life, the different phases of our life, is expressed in these 12 links of interdependent origination. So to understand this is to understand the flow of what our life is. So I think it'll become a little bit clearer as we engage in this, although this does require a great deal of concentration independently. So this becomes a really good practice, meditation practice, contemplation practice to engage in. So you can find many things online. You can find things in the books that we've recommended about the 12 links of interdependent arising. And so to help us to understand this, there is, let me see here. To help us to understand this is a sequential, linear way of looking at this. Here are the 12 links. So first link, you can see them numbered, and each one has a particular functionality to it. And that's what we're going to start talking about today. So we need to establish a few things like the meaning of things. So let me see here. So this doctrine of conditioned interdependent arising, this was taught by Shakyamuni Buddha, the historical Buddha, who states that all psychological and physical phenomena constituting individual existence are interdependent and mutually condition each other. This causal nexus of sentient beings is the explanation of how sentient beings are entangled in samsara. So I can put this in the chat. I can email this to you, or I'd rather put it in the WhatsApp so you can print this, so you can look at this later on to consider this. So we need to define a few terms here. So sentient means to perceive the senses, capable of perception, conscious. So sentient beings perceive the senses. So in the case of being a human being, we've got our eyes, we've got our nose, we've got our hearing, we've got our tongue, we've got our skin, our touch. So those are the five senses, plus the brain that is processing those five senses, that is recognizing what the five senses are sending those impulses to the brain so that we can recognize them. So we're capable of perception. What that means is that we can perceive these things happening, that we can perceive and predict things that are going to happen based on our experience. So this is part of being sentient, that there's a consciousness, there's an awareness, there's an awakeness of being sentient. So we say that animals are sentient. We say that insects are sentient. There's many sentient beings that we don't see, that are below the ground, that are on the ground, and that are above the ground. So as we develop our awareness of spirituality, we begin to recognize these different beings that are at these different levels, as we say, in the sphere below the sphere that we see, and above the sphere that we see. So this is all sentient. Causal means to causal, to produce an effect, a motive, a reason. So all this is the result of causes that have precipitated in actions, or the karma that we have created, the karma. So these causal, so sentient beings are here because of um, um, their causal events to produce their life, to give them a motive, to give them a reason, and so on. And those things that we can continue to do, the causal things that are bringing us to new life, different phases of our lives, and so on, and to interact with each other, to interact within ourselves. The nexus is a connection point between the groups of these individual things. So when we talk about the 12 links, the nexus point, the points of interconnection between these 12 points. So the causal nexus are these interconnected 12 points that we are looking at in a linear form here, but also it is in a holistic form. This is not a particularly good illustration of that the 12 links being interconnected, the holistic, but the holistic would be as if all those 12 links all come together, but in some points they're connected with 3 or 4 other links, but in the center they're all connected together. So it's like a shell that we see, that we recognize that as part of who we are, what it is. Let me see if I can go back to that other image here. Here we are. So this here is like this shell that is going around this center. So this is like a sphere rather than just a flat object here, like a flat circle. It's a sphere. It's 3-dimensional. Okay. If anybody has questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
I had a comment. It looks like the video game Mario Brothers and Bowser with the turtle shell on his back. And I can start seeing how Mario was even invented.
Well, I'm sure it's true. I'm only familiar with the name. I never played the game, so I understand. But yes, there's many. You find human beings are spiritual beings, whether they recognize it or not, and their spirituality arises in everyday life, and particularly in the art forms. So I'm not surprised to hear that there are these themes that run through our lives.
Right.
Thank you for pointing that out. Has anybody else noticed any examples like that where there's spontaneous spirituality that wasn't premeditated but just happened like that? Okay.
Lance, do you call that synchronicity? Is that like what you're describing?
That is a form of synchronicity. Yes, indeed, absolutely. We are spiritual beings, whether we recognize it or not.
Okay, so I do notice that in my life in ways I hadn't before I became more spiritual, if that makes sense. Like I didn't, it was probably always there. I just didn't know it until my spiritual muscle was awakened.
Yeah, it's a question of recognizing. Yes, absolutely. You know, what is it, deja vu? You know, that we've all been here before.
Yes.
And certain, you know, the names may change and the faces may change, but the people, the personalities, the events are the same. They're repeated over and over and over again. And last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about the transpersonal, when we were talking about going through life and being able to recognize past lives, that we had these past lives. And I was saying that, you know, for myself anyway, that I recognize it through the transpersonal. I can't say that Lance lived any other time than he's living right now. But transpersonally, I can have empathy for those beings who lived 100 years ago or 500 years ago or whatever, in whatever sentient being form they might have been taking. Okay, so to help us remember that these illustrations were for the purpose of being able to present these complex concepts to illiterate people who had good intelligence. They had good intelligence, but they never learned to read and write for cultural reasons and so on. So these pictures all tell a story. So when we learn, what the legend is, how it is that we tell the story, then all this begins to pop open and make sense to us, and we can interpret these pictures. So I'm going to go through these sequentially first so that you can become a little bit familiar with them. So this first one is a blind man who is walking the earth, and he's got a cane. So he doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know where he's been in terms of being able to see things, but he's aimlessly trying to find his way through life. So this is the first link. The second link is a potter, a man or a woman who is sitting at a potting wheel and who is forming the clay on the potting wheel into objects that can become useful objects. So this is a potter at a potter's wheel who is molding his life. The next one here is a monkey who is on a tree that has many different, has fruit and so on, and who is grabbing at the different fruit, who is recognizing the fruit, seeing the fruit, and this monkey is leaping from one place to another. And so this monkey kind of represents our overall grasping at life, to have an awareness, to have a consciousness. The fourth link is characterized here by a boat on a body of water. Here it looks like a river, and there are some people in the boat. I know this isn't a perfect image here, but there's a couple of what appear to be passengers, and then there appears to be this one person who is like guiding the boat, who is paddling the boat and guiding it. So the river is kind of like an analogy for our life stream that we're going through, and the boat itself is our physical body that we are navigating this water with this body, with this boat, and that we have our senses are within this, our intellect and so on is our passengers in this boat as we're moving along through all these different things that happen to us during our lifetime. So then the next one here is representative of our senses, our five senses, including the brain, which would be the sixth sense, but that sixth sense is only processing what the senses and the sense faculties, the organs, are reporting to us. So this is a house. This is an empty house with windows. So the emptiness that's inside the house represents that there's no recognition of what is viewed through the windows. There's no recognition of what it is. There's no intelligence about it. It's just seeing it. So an analogy here would be like a camera. A camera is the lens is just looking at whatever object it's pointed at, but it's making no judgment about it. It's giving no designation to it, no name to it or anything like that. It's just seeing the image. But then that image then is focused, is produced onto the film or to the digital memory, whatever. And so it's like the brain that is recognizing. So we look through the window, we see the house next door, we see the sky, but we don't know that it's the sky. We haven't called it anything yet. We don't recognize what it is, what properties it has. We just see the image. So the same thing could be said about our hearing a sound, smelling something, tasting something, or touching something. So this is the house of the empty house of many windows, represents the senses. Then here is a an amorous couple who are lying in their bed, who are having a relationship here, having a sexual relationship, and they are representing contact. That this is the beings coming together, and the contact of the senses is all coming together. So, and along with that, we start to create names, and we start to create images for ourselves, and the prejudices and the judgments begin with contact. So this represents that. Then the next one here is this represents sensation. So this is a man who has an arrow stuck in his eye. And that is an extreme sensation to show that now we are experiencing these psychophysical things that are happening, and we are having these reactions to these things. So this is a man with an arrow stuck in his eye, is sensations. Then the next one here is a man who is sitting here drunk, who has got a bottle of Chang, of beer or wine, whatever, liquor, and he keeps drinking and drinking and drinking and can never satisfy himself. So this is representing craving, that we are craving to be satisfied, but yet that which we are bringing into ourselves cannot satisfy ourselves. So we're constantly in this state of craving, as a drunk man who is constantly trying to drink. Another example might be salt water. You can't drink salt water and have it quench your thirst. It just makes you more thirsty. So here, the next one is another monkey in a tree now, who is holding on to the tree, is holding on to the fruit of that tree and won't let it go. And this represents clinging. The clinging that we have, that we hold on to that which we think is our identity, that is important, that we need to have, and so on. So this is a monkey holding on to the branches of the tree and holding on to the fruit. Then the next one here is a woman who is pregnant. So sometimes you'll find that there's a seduction here that is happening, but here this is a woman who is sitting here who has a pregnant belly, and she represents that we are becoming, that something is changing, and that we are trying to understand that. We're trying to control that. We need to control that. So this is being pregnant with the possibilities of what lies before us. And here comes the birth. So this is the woman who is holding on to the branches of a tree, which back in the day, this was how, women would have children, would be they would hold on to the branches of a tree and kind of crouch down a little bit, and there would be a tendon there that would help the baby to come through the birth canal and would be born like that. So this is the illustration of that, and this woman is giving birth to an infant. So this is ourselves going through the process of rebirth ourselves, that we are birthing ourselves, birthing our new selves. And then the last one, this is the 12th link, is now an old man who is now walking through the countryside and who has this bag on his back. And this bag, if you can see, it's kind of got a human form to it. And this bag is all our psychophysical drama that we are carrying with us, all the results of that psychophysical drama. This is all our possessions. This is all our kleshas, all the results of our karma that he's carrying with us. So this man is moving along. So this represents old age and death, and carrying this into what would be the next life. And then here is the first, again, link of this man who now is going through the countryside, who is blind and has a cane and so on like that. So this is the outer explanation of the illustration. Anybody have any comments or questions about this?
Lance, can you go back to the boat?
The boat?
Yes.
Okay.
This is they're maybe I didn't quite this. They're traveling through life. Is that correct? Is that what the boat on the river
Yes.
represents?
So yes. So they're going through, they have a body and they have a mind. And they're recognizing that, and that's what they have to recognize the exterior, what life is, phenomenal nature. So the water is representing all the vicissitudes of that life, all the internal and the external changes, events, things that are happening in our life. Does that answer the question? Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so now keeping that all in mind, if you've taken some notes, so now we go to our linear representation of this, helps us to understand the meaning of each of these. So this first link represents ignorance, that the blind man walking across the land, not knowing where he's going, represents ignorance, that he doesn't know what he's doing. This is like a child an infant who has just been born. And this being, this new human being, this sentient being, may not be able to see. It's a question of whether, opening its eyes and being able to see. But the point is, it doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know who it is. It doesn't know what's around them. It doesn't know what's in the future for them. Doesn't know anything. Is absolutely ignorant of anything, cannot take care of itself, but at the same time is pure. So the analogy here that we have to look at is consider that this is a newborn baby, that this whole experience is the experience of a baby who is growing up and going through the different stages of life. So here is that newborn baby who is born unable to do anything for itself. And when we can look into its eyes and we can recognize or we get the idea that the baby, the infant, is seeing us for the first time or the second time or third time, doesn't matter, but recognizing us and seeing us and making that relationship is a very special time. And we're seeing that as seeing the goodness of that child. We're not seeing a nastiness. We're not seeing an evilness with that child. We're seeing just a beautiful goodness that has been created and has been born by way of birth with this child, although it is ignorant. So this ignorance is also bringing with it the baggage, if you will, the karma, the kleshas. The kleshas are the aspects of past karma that we bring with us, our kleshas. So they're like the bag, they're like the impulses that we have and so on from past lives. So this is previous existence. So those impulses and formations would be the second link that we're bringing with us that we don't recognize yet. They haven't taken any form yet. We haven't recognized them in any way. So the first is the ignorance, and the second are these impulses, these formations of these kleshas that we're bringing with us. So we're looking at this child and we're wondering, who is this child? I'm sure all parents, when they look at their children like that, they say, who is this child? Who will they be? You know, what were they before they were born? Why is it they were born this way? You know, for those spiritual beings might think of it that way. People who don't have a spirituality may not think of it that way at all. But for those of us who do have this spirituality, we're thinking, oh well, this is a child who has had a rebirth, and they have brought with them these certain proclivities, these certain formations, these certain impulses that they're bringing, and now have to forbear. They now have to endure in this new lifetime. So these are the first two links of previous existence. So now the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links, 3 through 7, are the present existence of this being as it develops. So first is number 3 is consciousness, that we begin to become aware of things that are happening within ourselves and things that are outside of ourselves. We begin to see things, we begin to hear things, we begin to taste things, and we start making connections. Things are starting to form in our mind, such as it is, and we begin to recognize our mother. We can hear her voice. We can see her. We can taste her. We can touch her and feel her touch and so on like that. So we're experiencing the consciousness of putting these things together. The next thing is the mental and physical, is we begin to recognize that there is this mental aspect and there's this physical aspect. We're not able to break it down into those two things. We don't have the intelligence, or I shouldn't say the intelligence, we don't have the sophistication at that point to be able to recognize, well, what's mental and what is physical. But nevertheless, these are inputs that are coming to us. So these are the things that we see and the things that we think, like that. We're going to go back over these things. So then the next one is number 5 are the 6 sense object realms. So these are the faculties of being able to see, being able to hear, being able to smell and taste and so on. So it's the organs that we have, and it's the objects of those things that we are processing, and then it is the processing itself within the brain, are the 6 sense object realms. So then the next one is contact. So now we're bringing this together, and we're starting to make forms. We're starting to make ideas. We're starting to bring things together. Things are starting to form within ourselves. So we can see as a young infant now, maybe this is the first couple of months, and then this becomes the next couple of months where the child is developing, their personality is beginning to develop, likes and dislikes. We're beginning to recognize who this child is. And if you've had a child, you remember that every couple of months they're going through big changes. So this is kind of representing those changes, the recognition of what is happening internally and externally as this child is developing. And then number 7 are the sensations, the events that are happening and the way that it makes us feel, the results that we have as because of that. And so these sensations that we are developing. And then the next one, number 8, is the craving that we're having. And then some of these things we want to have. some of these things we really like. We like having a full belly. We like having a clean clothes. We like being dry. We like being warm. We like being comfortable and so on. So we start to crave those things. And when we don't get those things, then we try and communicate our displeasure, and we start to cry and whatever way that we can to let our caretakers know that we're uncomfortable. We're craving our comfort. We're craving our satisfaction. And then number 9 is our clinging. We're holding on to these things, and we don't want to give these things up. So, trying to take a toy away from an infant, or maybe this now becomes a toddler. Now it becomes a little bit older, a 1-year-old child, a 2-year-old child, and trying to take something away from that child can drive them into some kind of a tantrum. So the 8, 9, and 10 are the fruits of present existence. So now we've got these things that we've been developing through our present existence. Now we've got these things that we can hold on to, that we're beginning to build an identity. And we hold on to the identity. We crave the identity. We hold on to the identity. And the identity, number 10, is going to lead us, is going to become something else. That we start recognizing our older brothers and sisters. We start recognizing our parents are walking around and doing things and speaking, and we want to become this. We want to grow. We want to be able to do these things that we're witnessing and be able to do these things ourselves. And frustration, of course, can come when we can't, when we're not able to do these things, or maybe that our parents or our brothers and sisters are critical or criticizing us, always saying no to us. Things are starting to happen to us that are conditioning our psychology. So there can be positive reinforcement, there can be negative reinforcement. So all this is part of the fruits of present existence, this becoming. Then number 11 and 12 are the future existence, what we are moving towards now. Now we're getting to be an older child, maybe we're 8, 9, 10 years old, that we see ourselves as a developing human being. We can recognize that we're different than from the animals and so on. And so we're taking on our personality. We're taking on our life now as a human being. And so it's like we're being born, and we're constantly going through this. So I've made the analogy many times that every meditation that we go through is a death and a rebirth, because whatever we take into the meditation, then we quiet that down, and then we transcend. If we're truly having a meditation, we are transcending our ordinary consciousness, which is represented by all these other links here, and we're transcending that, and then we're recognizing something that we hadn't experienced before, and that now we're incorporating that back into all these things, so that new experience is getting processed back through all this sequence of stuff happening. That's why I say it's like a holon, that all these things are interacting with each other. It's not always a linear thing. So this birth is happening all the time. This rebirth is happening all the time. When we emerge from a meditation, we're another person. This talk that we're having today, hopefully there's going to be some thoughts, something that is going to happen within you that is being triggered by these concepts here, by these ideas, and is going to create a new you. That is, now you're going to be a little bit wiser. You're going to be a little bit more understanding of who it is to be a human being, what it is to be a human being, why it is that we are a human being, and so on like that. So in all this way, we're reborn as something different than when we entered into this talk. The number 12 is the old age and death of the that now we're coming through this maturity, all this stuff is happening, and so when we're developing all this wisdom, all this experience, all these things are heaped on us, and we're carrying this around like a baggage. We're carrying this around like this bag that is always with us. So so then finally we go through the process of the death, where we have to either take that bag with us because we're unable to let it go, or we're able to put the bag down and we reemerge as a totally different being, as a totally different being, not a human being, but a super being, if I can use that term. So, in terms of our Buddhist spirituality, we would say that this is the point at which we become awakened, that we become Buddha, that we put down, that we let down all those things that we have been carrying around, all those kleshas, all those demonistic things that have been driving us to have this life after life after life after life. We finally say, I've purified myself. I'm done with this. I can put this bag down. I don't need this bag anymore. Instead of holding on to it and clinging to it, thinking, well, this is what I need to take with me into my next life. So that's a huge point right there. Many people will describe this bag as being like a stain on our spiritual body. So to me, I'd say that this is like the soul. And this is like many of the traditions that say that we have this everlasting, eternal soul. And this soul is stained. And this stain is all the bad things, all the negative things that we have done, the results of all that. And we carry this soul with us wherever we go. This is the essence of who we are. And this stain stays with us. And how do we relieve ourselves of the stain? How do we cleanse ourselves of the stain? So many traditions are built on that concept. If you follow me, if you listen to everything I say, you will be relieved of those stains. You will cleanse those stains. But you got to listen to me. You've got to follow me. I'm the only one that can do this for you. This is what many of these traditions are basically saying. I will lead you to that which will cleanse your stains. You will be forgiven for all this, and you can now have a eternal life as this pure soul, because the soul has been wiped clean. Maybe so. I don't know. It's a spiritual question, and has to be answered through a spiritual experience. So the way I look at it, the way many others look at it, is that it's more like this bag, this alaya consciousness. A couple of weeks ago or last week, we talked about the 8 consciousnesses. We talked about that the first 6 consciousnesses was the sight, the smell, the hearing, the taste, the touch, and the processing within the brain. Those are the first 6. The 7th is the klesha consciousness, the karmic consciousness, the I, me, mine, that I'm experiencing all this, that all this is all within me, is the 7th consciousness. And the 8th consciousness is the results of all that process now of the being a karmic being, the kleshas, the results of that we're carrying around with us in that bag. And that, so many people would say, well, that's the soul. But we also can say, well, it's just a bag. And I'm making a choice to carry it around. and I can develop the freedom to be able to let that bag go. And that's what we're trying to do. To saying that, maybe you might think it's an oversimplification of the process, but it really is the process. This is the cessation, the four thoughts that turn the mind, the four noble truths. We talk about all life has suffering. The cause of the suffering is our desire, is our attachment to this life. Then the third truth is the cessation, that the renunciation. How do we get rid of this? We get rid of it by cutting it off, by just saying, I'm not going to play this anymore. And then the cause of that being able to cut that off is the Eightfold Path. This is how we're able to develop the stability with our spirituality body, to be able to have the courage and the strength to be able to endure what we have left in this human life, and to be able to say, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for everything, and I am going to not have attachment to it, and I'm not going to have aversion to it, is what we are developing, what we are practicing. So every meditation becomes a rehearsal for that. Every meditation becomes a practice for that. And that's why we say that we can be enlightened in this lifetime. It doesn't have to happen when we die. We're going through a spiritual death. So we can be reborn as Buddha at 35 years old, or 45 years old, or 65 years old, whenever, or 5 years old for that matter. So it's a matter of being able to recognize this very profound process and taking responsibility for it, and start developing the skills that allows us to be able to endure and to be able to process and transcend this human life. Any comments, please? Gary, what do you think about this?
Well, I think one of the things I'm hearing is regardless of where you are in life, it's never too late to start.
Yes.
And I think that one thing I've realized, which I don't know why I didn't think more about when I was much younger, is every day presents many opportunities for consciousness and to do the right thing. Life presents us with many opportunities to react in the wrong way and in a self-absorbed way. And as I look back on my life, I see that sometimes I've done that, and sometimes we are conditioned to do that by the environment around us. The environment around us teaches us often not to handle things in a conscious way, in a mindful way. We grew up, at least I did, seeing that you handle certain situations in a very destructive way, and they were validated by the world around me. What I saw on television, what I saw in life. And I see now how destructive this was for me spiritually and for others. And I wish it hadn't been that way, but that's that's simply the way it was, and recognizing that is part of moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Gavin, what do you think about this?
Oh, well, yeah, it's kind of like how Gary was saying. We can look back at our life and assess whether we were doing good deeds or not good deeds, and how we feel at the moment as we're looking back, and what we can do to change and rebirth ourselves into becoming more of a pure essence, behaving to what our soul, our heart rhythm would rather see in the light of love, you know. And,
Okay.
are you talking particularly about the bag that we carry? Like how I feel about the bag that would be carried?
Am I asking you about that?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm asking you about that and everything that we've been talking about here for the past half hour or so.
Sure. I was thinking about that bag, and it's very interesting that it could be the accumulation of all the past lives, um, and whether or not one wants to release the bag, or if they cling on to it. And it's very interesting because that happens every day. And every day is you can carry the bag or you can put the bag down, and then it becomes different to think about it at death's door. Um, whether or not you want to obsess about becoming something living again, and what we perceive in the human mind as a living entity. And like the ancient Egyptians, they thought that stars are alive and plasma is alive and electricity has life. So that goes into be more explaining of the spirit in leaving the body. But if the spirit wants to hold the bag, it could get sucked back into material existence, into a body below the plasma of a star. Or where do you go after you let go of the bag? Do you go into what we call the sun? Or do you go to different spheres in the solar system to become part of the elemental existence on those planets that doesn't have the same Goldilocks zone of Earth that allows animals and humans and what we perceive, liquids and solids, and so it's very interesting to me. And
Okay, good. Thank you. That was very, very provocative. Let me move on to Adrian. Would you like to comment on this? What does this mean to you?
That's what it means to me. It's like a guide.
As what?
A guide,
A guide.
a map where I'm at every day. And a compass. Where I need to go.
A compact?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're a little muddy sounding. I'm having trouble hearing some of the words you're saying.
Yeah, compass.
Okay.
A compass. So it's that's all what it means to me. And the final destination is, like you said, allowing that person to put the luggage down and move on to a higher existence. That's what I think.
Is that eternalism?
Uh, no, I don't see it as eternalism. Why do you ask that? That
Well, I'm just trying to qualify the word higher. You know, is it does it mean a more
oh
intelligent existence? Does it mean a more a dimensional, a higher dimensional? You know, that there's other things to recognize that we don't recognize in our three dimensions.
uh, yeah. I mean, a higher state of consciousness, I should say, right? Enlightenment being the end of the road, I guess, and that would not identify it as eternalism.
Okay.
But we are going higher and higher with every life that we have, with every teaching that we have, with every meditation that we have. We're moving higher and higher, and I think that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matthew, how about you? Would you like to comment on this? What does this mean to you?
Um, and I missed a little bit of that. My nieces and nephews just came here, so it's chaos outside. So I'm having trouble hearing some. But well, a few things. One question I have is with the grasping. I think that you were saying with the third link. How is grasping different than like craving and clinging in this sense? Like, what's the difference in terms of how the terms are used?
Well, that's a real good question, and I think the grasping is identified just in the first overall picture of the grasping of the Mara that is holding this whole experience, this whole wheel in its grasp.
Hmm.
Okay, so that demon wants identity. That demon wants the ego. That demon wants this whole experience. This demon is alive with this. The craving is the craving for more sensory satisfaction, more knowledge, more identity, the craving for it, that not being satisfied with what one has, but craving even more. So it's going from, if the illustration of the grasping is more of a static thing, the craving is more of a moving towards something that it wants more, more. It wants to be heavier. It wants to have deeper. It wants more pleasure, more suffering. It just wants more. This
Yeah.
craving of more life.
Hmm.
So and then the clinging is holding on to the results of that, whatever that is.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I look at it. That's how it's explained in many of the texts.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's a lot. It's a lot to process, and it's always been something that's been a little hard for me. The 12 links of like wrapping my mind around what exactly it means. But yeah, it's a lot there, and yeah, I don't know. It reminds me of some other stuff like in psychology and like cognitive behavioral therapy and things. Differences, of course, where there's like some kind of trigger situation or something that happens, and it's like filtered through our interpretation or way of framing it, and like we feel a certain way, and then that kind of leads to different behaviors that feeds back onto itself. At least in that model, it's not exact description, but I know some of it reminds me of that some too. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
Fascinating though.
thank you. Karina, how about you? You know, one of the things that as was being said here, I was thinking that it's like we've been seduced. We've seduced ourselves into this kind of life. What do you think about that?
I try to understand.
She's
what
trying to
it says.
understand the word seduce or seductive so she could conceptualize an answer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Where's your phone?
Here.
So seduced would be like
Seduce.
that we have been okay,
Like tempted into.
tempted, yes.
What does it say? What is that?
Like the
She's saying what
temptation has pulled us into having this life over and over again.
Mm, 1 second, please. Okay. It's like all no, like all these things what we want from life, like when we're doing not divine things, like when we want some have a jealous and different.
Can you feel that maybe we've let ourselves be led astray, be led in a wrong direction?
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Do you see that there's a that we have a responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
and that if we, what have we given? Who has responsibility? You know what? How do we shape ourselves? How do we make decisions? You know, who was the author, or who created the responsibility for us to do this?
Only we are.
Only we are, she said.
Only we are responsible.
Yeah.
Yes. But do you think that there are people who have given up responsibility and they give responsibility to somebody else? It's somebody else's fault. It's not my fault.
Mm, I don't know. I think so. Always this is like me. Like will follow. It's only we are do this choice.
We have this choice ourselves.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
maybe.
Did you have something else that you wanted to say instead of answering my question?
Not now. Maybe later.
Okay. Well, Zara, I wanted to ask you too. What do you think of this? What do you think of this idea of the seduction and the being led astray and giving up responsibility? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I live it every day with whether or not I get another cup of coffee, as a simple example, another piece of chocolate, to the need to grasp onto relationships, for all those reasons. I experience it daily now, and I recognize it for what it is. Now, whether I have the skill sets to, I'm still working on letting go of what you call the bag, the outside, and embracing my spiritual nature. So I fundamentally agree with everything you're saying. The practice of it is painful, Lance. Doing it in real time hurts, doesn't feel good. The letting go to those seductions.
Do you think that we have a fear of losing something by making ourselves responsible for having to put that bag down, that we're afraid we're going to lose something in the process?
Yeah, it's all ego driven, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Matt was saying a little bit about his background, and like how he deals with his patients, like something triggers something else. So it's the idea of, I'm not relevant. I need that attention. Like, it's just it's very simplistic. It goes back to what you described as the things that cause suffering. I want what I don't have. I protect what I don't have. Like those four concepts are fundamentally at the root of all of these anxieties, fears, or these needs, the need to hold on tightly and to cause the suffering and to go back into I call it the seduction cycle. Like I got to get back and get that dopamine hit because my ego needs it.
Do you use that term?
Yeah.
Is that what you usually use?
For myself, yeah. Now that I'm shifting, Lance, when I have moments where I'm like, you're about to do, I talk to myself spiritually now, not conventionally. I've started to shift my language, my inner self-talk. I'm having a difficult moment. Instead of saying what it is from conventional language, Lance, I say, this is you holding on, protecting what you have fiercely. I describe it from now a spiritual system versus more conventional behavioral language from my training. That's a shift that's happened now in the last few weeks, Lance. It's been great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Zara, that what Zara, what you were describing, which is describing like the difficult part is very similar to like what's difficult for me with it as well. And that's why like I've also trying to be, I think Zara, you were saying this too actually, but like really my practice like very focused on like the four thoughts and trying to break some of that seduction as people are calling it and everything, because there's this this feeling with it, and there's this, at least for me, this like underlying feeling like it's going to work, like it's going to work this time. Like I'm going to be able to do the thing, I'm going to get the praise, I'm going to get whatever it is, or the good feeling, or people are going to think I'm special or something, and then it's like as if it'll be sustained. It goes back to the impermanence. Like if I can just stabilize it in some way, it's almost like that thing, I can feel okay, because you do get this like slight sense of relief. It's like addiction, really. It's a similar thing. It's like, okay, I got this feeling, and it changes, and it's like, oh crap, now I gotta manufacture it again and again, and it's just like this cycle that goes on, and it's extremely seductive, and there's such, at least for me, like such a momentum to it too, that it's just like, it's hard to break it at times.
I think it's interesting, and I think Gary, would comment on this, because we're the two older guys here, the two older people here, and so for us, death is more real and maybe closer. For us, we think about that, and the question of the soul and what the soul is, and so on, like that, and being middle aged, being younger, and so on. Life is so much in front of us, and there's so many things that we want to do, to start talking about, well, moving away from that becomes much more difficult. I don't want to do that, but Gary, what do you think about the soul? What do you think about that and letting go of that? What does that mean to you?
Letting go of the soul.
Yes.
Soul being the idea of eternity, of going on in a different way, is what you mean. We agree on a definition of the soul.
Well, I guess that's certainly one way of defining it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have come to accept the Buddhist belief, which I really encountered many years ago, before Buddhism, of many lives. We are sojourners in consciousness. Some people would call it sojourners in time, and I believe that. Now, whether that constitutes that is consistent with the idea of a soul, I don't know, but I believe in consciousness. I can't go on too long about this, it would take too long, but my first encounter, long before I really got into Buddhism, was a book which I thought about when I began with a saga called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss, which you may have read, or some here may have read. It is consistent with, I believe, with the length and breadth of the message of Buddhism. And it would take too long for me to tell you about the book, except that it was about his journey with a patient. He was a psychiatrist, totally atheistic, totally empirical, and he had a patient who was having problems, and she was a very average, not exceptional, not dumb person. And when he hypnotized her to deal with her issues, she took him back in time through many lives. And this is a real thing that happened. It's why he wrote the book. Her name was Catherine. It was not a real name. But I don't believe people can define that, within the notion of a soul. I don't really know what a soul is, but I do believe that we persist through time in some way. And I think that this is what Buddhism teaches, and I think that this is an ultimate truth for me.
But that's eternalism, isn't it?
Depends on how you define eternalism. Buddhism teaches
that we exist, that we continue existing through time.
Well, if Buddhism teaches that we have many lives, then it is a journey through consciousness. Definitions are befuddling.
Well, that's the whole purpose of this. That's what part of our contemplation meditation process is about, is defining all of that.
Everyone shouldn't say that. I can't speak for everyone, but there's a tendency that I've observed in myself and in others to take a definition and sand off the rough edges of the definition to make it consistent with our comfort level of how we think things ought to be.
Well, what do you think about the basic premise? I'm sure I mentioned this in the very early days of talking about this, that one of the problems that human beings have is that they think they know, and they think they can know.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that we know something is putting another knot in the net. Instead of being able to say, well, you know what? I don't know, and it doesn't matter to me. And can I be happy with not knowing? Can I find happiness in that not knowing?
Lance,
That's
can
a
you do
very
that?
important point.
Zara,
Can you
go,
do that?
Zara, go ahead.
I want to ask you what you just said is really, really paramount to this whole conversation. What you just said, like not knowing, and are you okay with that? Are you able to do that in your life?
I work at it every day.
Okay.
I work at it every day. But at this point now, I'm working at it from the standpoint of how can I communicate that? I've gotten to the point in my life, being as though you asked me, I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm trying to take everything out of the bag.
That's funny. Yeah.
I'm not seeing the bag as a whole thing. I would like to be able to see it as a whole thing, but right now it's easier for me to say, well, I can take this out of the bag, I can take that out of the bag, and then finally all I'm going to be left with is this empty bag. Is the way I look at it.
The bag being your life, or your being,
The things that I hold on to.
the things that you hold on to. Yes.
That we keep coming back as a human being. If we look at this whole birth, death cycle thing, the life of a migrator, you talked about a sojourner, being in that boat on that river and having to navigate that river and saying, well, I don't need that anymore. I don't even know what that means. To let it go and say, oh, well, that was just an experience I had, or that was just something I thought of. That was a dream that I had, but it's no longer real. It's no longer relevant for me anymore. It's only relevant in a certain set of circumstances. You know, this is the two truth theory, or the two truths that we talk about in Buddhism, that there's the absolute truth and that there is the relative truth. We were talking about this on Monday night, I think. The relative truth is all this stuff that we conjure up in our human brains is all empty of any true nature itself. That is like being suspended, if you will, in this absolute truth of that which we cannot humanly explain.
This is very interesting. It makes me think about Neuralink and whether or not a new seductive bag is being offered, and that is a very interesting thought, because does putting a quarter size, like the Matrix, if it becomes fashionable for people to put microchips and become one with electrodes and artificial intelligence, does this stop the reincarnation cycle completely? And why are we at this point in time in the human civilization where we're about to hit a super crossroad of what is called the singularity, and whether or not you'd like to get the new bag, and when people in wheelchairs are going to be able to walk again, and, you know, like.
Well, remember when last week we read the Heart Sutra, and to put it in terms of the Heart Sutra, it would say there's no bag.
There's no bag.
There's no bag. So
My
your point is well
definition-
taken, but it's another concept.
Sure.
So to get to the idea, or to the concept, that there's no concept. We're just creating things, you know, for the sake of our communication. You know, we're here to have a discussion. We're here to recognize this so that we can liberate ourselves from this. To be able to get to the point to say, there's nothing else I can say or do about this, you know. And I'm so I know how I regard this as being, you know, a senior citizen, if I can say that. You guys are young, and you guys say, well, how am I going to live the rest of my life with this understanding? How am I going to put this bag down now? You know, and so how much of that spirituality do you want to weave now into your present life? And how much do you reevaluate what it is that you're doing and saying, well, this is bullshit. You know, I'm just creating this story for myself to sustain my seduction, to sustain my story of who I think I am, when really I don't know. And it doesn't matter. This is what freedom is, you know, or do you think that this is what freedom is? Or what's your interpretation of what you think freedom is? So this is the essence of what the meditation is. This is the essence of the contemplation that leads to the meditation. The meditation is the experience of that which we don't know. So it begs the question, do we have to have that experience to be able to continue the conversation with ourselves? What do you think of that answer?
Yeah, definitely we need to.
Go ahead, Adrian, you were going to say?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say definitely we need to have that experience. And for me, meditation is not necessarily the experience. You can get to the experience through meditation, think meditation is more like a path towards that. When we get there, we definitely understand, comprehend all of the things that we were just talking about. Like, you know, why is it so important to leave this baggage behind us? But yeah, it is very important to have that experience.
Okay.
But isn't the baggage the past life accumulation of karma, and that has to follow us into the next life?
Wait a minute. You just said has.
Right, has. So, all right.
Does it has to?
No, according to Buddhism, there's a way to leave the bag behind. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, I think the luggage, it is the karma that we bring in with us. It is the past experience and activities that we've engaged in our previous life. And it's just a matter of how we are attached to those.
Right. So this is what I'm trying to point out and trying to help, you know, to develop or to give you the tools of critical thinking. To keep asking what, why, how, what, why, how. You know, and the words that we take for granted. Freedom. What does freedom mean? What does spirituality mean? So why don't we take a break? It's about 10:30. Why don't we take a short 20-minute break, come back, and then I want to engage in a new level of meditation, a new practice of meditation, something that we've been working up to. And so I want to introduce that with you. And okay.
Okay.
So we'll come back. It's my clock says 10:36, so we'll come back in 20 minutes. So that'd be what, 20 minutes? Is that 10:36?
Let's call it 11 o'clock, Lance, more or less.
Well, you want to call it 11 o'clock? Okay. All right, 11 o'clock we come back, or whatever time it is for you when it's 11 o'clock here.
Thank you, Lance. Glad you
Lance,
said
I have
that.
to live.
Thank you.
I have to leave, Lance. I'm going to see you next week.
All right, well, we'll miss you, but maybe you can catch us up on YouTube because this is good stuff.
Yes.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay. Do a dedication.
Oh, Lance,
Hi, Gary.
that book that I referred to, had you ever read it or heard about it?
No, what was it called again?
Many Lives, Many Masters. I think that Lori recommended it to me many years ago. I have it downstairs in the bookcase, but
What's the guy's name again?
Brian Weiss, Weiss.
All right, very good. Thank you.
It was a fascinating book because this was a total agnostic, or actually an atheist, but a brilliant man, a brilliant psychiatrist. And before his encounter with her, he would have never accepted the possibility of the things that she described to him. And although it's been many years since I've read it, out of the realms of hypnosis, she couldn't remember them either. But it seems to me that a Buddhist would say, well, of course you live many lives. That's what we do.
Okay.
It's worth looking into. It changed his life, I think.
Yeah, well, there's certainly many things like that.
Uh,
Okay. Well, I hope
Thank you,
everybody's
Gary,
got
for
your,
that book.
I'm sorry,
I,
somebody was saying
I
something?
just was thanking Gary for that reference, that book, because it sounds amazing.
I think you won't be sorry if you start to read it, but it leaves you wondering, as it did Dr. Weiss. I haven't seen anything by him really recently, but I haven't really looked because I've been so busy with so many other things.
All right. Well, we've got just a little bit of time left, an hour or so. So I want to make the best of that. So we're going to enter into a meditation practice. So we'll begin with what we've learned so far. We'll recite the short refuge prayer. Then we'll recite the precious human life, the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. Then we will recall the stages of meditation, as we talked about that, bodhicitta, up to bodhicitta. And then we're going to engage in a shamatha meditation. So shamatha meditation requires a little bit of an explanation, a much more explanation than we have time for. And Kempo is going to be talking about this next week. So if you really want to take advantage of learning more about it, I recommend that. But we can kind of get right to the point by doing a meditation with an object. We can do meditation without an object. There's many different parts of shamatha meditation, but the base part is meditation with an object. So the object can be a physical object, it can be a picture, it can be the floor, it can be a flower. It should be something, kind of benign, something that when your mind wanders during the meditation, which is going to do, you can bring it back to that object without it interfering, with your thought process. It shouldn't be anything disruptive or something. The object can also be a mantra, and that's what we're going to use, something that you can recite over and over again that is a mind protection. Mantra means mind protection in Sanskrit. As we are doing a mantra, as we are reciting a mantra, we are protecting the mind because it has meaning, and we're developing one-pointed mindfulness on what the meaning of that mantra is. So in this case, we're going to do the mantra called Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. So I'm going to put that up on a screen share when we come to it. So I can put it up right now if you want to write it down. So here. So you can see, get this out of my way. So here it says Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. That's pronounced Shri. And it says, behold, the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. So I'll give a little bit more explanation for that when time comes, when we come to this, but this will be the mantra that we're going to do. Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Does anybody have their copy of the Four Thoughts that Turn the Mind to the Dharma? And to their copy, if they printed it, the guide, the Stages of Meditation Guide 1, I'm going to recite it, so it's not essential that you have it, but but for the Four Thoughts, you should have that in front of you. Okay. So we begin by reciting the short refuge prayer, which the first two lines are taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha, and the second two lines is bodhicitta. So that one prayer incorporates both. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye chodang soki chodam la, Shangshu badu dagni kapsuchi, dagi jinsoki pe sonamgi, drola penshir sangye jupasho. Oh, this kind of leisure and endowment is supremely difficult to obtain. When one obtains a body which is easily lost, do not waste it meaninglessly, but rather use it to attain ultimate liberation, joyous result. To contemplate the meaning of precious human life. Impermanence. The nature of all phenomena is impermanence. Death is a certainty to all who are born. Death can descend any time like a drop of morning dew on a blade of grass. Quick, it is time to make effort for the essence of the Dharma. Contemplate. The suffering of samsara. In the three lower realms, and even in the three higher ones, there is not an instant of absolute happiness. I will avoid the root cause of my samsaric existence and practice the excellent path of peace to enlightenment. Contemplate the suffering of samsara. Karma, cause and result. The fruits of one's positive karma is happiness. Suffering is the fruit of negative karma. The inexorable karmic causation is the mode of abiding in all dharmas. Henceforth, practice the dharma by distinguishing between what should be practiced and what should be given up. Contemplate karma, cause, and result. The first method to attain enlightenment through meditation is loving kindness. All sentient beings, limitless as the infinite nature of space, have been our mothers from beginningless time until this lifetime. Therefore, for these kind mothers to sustain happiness, it is necessary for me to relinquish hatred and develop loving kindness. The four kindnesses the mother has shown. She gave birth to one's body. She would give up her life for oneself. She taught one what to make up. She taught one what to take up and what to abandon. She performed austerities for one's benefit. These are the four kindnesses the mother has shown. Meditate on the method of loving kindness. The second method to attain enlightenment is the method of compassion. Even though these mothers desire happiness, by the force of non-virtuous action, they are tortured in the 3 lower realms. Because of their unbearable suffering, I develop unbearable compassion. Visualize one's own mother suffering in each of the 6 realms, being tortured by demons in the hell realm, by experiencing hunger and thirst in the hungry ghost realm, being beaten and eaten in the animal realm, suffering sickness and old age as a human being, heedless pleasure and conflict in the demigod realm, desperate falling from pride in the God realm. Meditate on the method of compassion to help our mother in the 6 realms of samsara. The third method to attain enlightenment is to contemplate, meditate on empathetic joy. May my mothers have happiness and be free from suffering. May they sustain the happiness which is free from suffering. Meditate on empathetic joy. The fourth method to attain enlightenment is equanimity. May my mind abide in equanimity towards these mother beings. Contemplate equanimity. We recite the four immeasurable qualities of bodhicitta. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Again, may all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. In Tibet, Manam kadam yam pesam chantam she dewa dang dewe gurdang dampa jorchi. Dug now dang da now gi gu dang drawa jorchi. Dug now me pe dewa dang mi drawa jorchi. Nay ring chak dang ni dang dra wei tang nam la ne pa jorchi. The fifth method to attain enlightenment is bodhicitta. Now I lack the ability to bring happiness to these migrators. Therefore, I engage my mind diligently to attain the supreme ultimate state and bring these mother beings to complete happiness. Bodhicitta, the unity of emptiness and compassion. I make effort to practice the ultimate Dharma beyond conceptual thoughts. Vajra Samaza, the indestructible vow that breaks through. Contemplate bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. The action bodhicitta prayer. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this tomorrow, I practice bodhicitta with body, speech, and mind. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind. Where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Rest the mind, Open the heart. So now we'll practice a calm abiding meditation. Shamatha meditation. Our body is straight, our back is straight, our legs crossed, sitting on the floor, or in a chair. Our feet are flat on the floor, or we can cross our feet at our ankles, whatever's comfortable. Our hands can be relaxed, the left hand up, the right leg, the right hand lying in the left hand, both thumbs touching, 4 inches below the navel. Pull the shoulders back, pulls the hands right into the abdomen. The head certainly forward just a little bit on the neck. The chin tucked down just a little bit. Our eyes can be open or closed. Our eyes are open just to gaze 3 or 4 feet in front of ourselves, not staring, just looking at something quite simple, benign. We close our eyes. There are less obstructions, less distractions at this stage of our meditation. Just stay relaxed. Breathing in through both nostrils at the same time, bringing the breath 4 inches below the navel. We expand the belly, holding the breath. When we exhale, squeeze the belly, presses against the diaphragm, presses against the lungs, and pushes all the stale, negative, dark air out of our lungs through the 2 nasal passages, through all that dark, contaminated air being pushed out. You can keep your mouth slightly open with your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. If you prefer to breathe through your nose or through your mouth, either is fine. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. Stay relaxed and breathe normal. Keep your back straight. Visualize your body, your speech, and your mind as being a jewel, a diamond, clear, indestructible. And this diamond jewel is nestled in a lotus flower that is your legs crossed and your butt on the cushion, and the diamond jewel is nestled into that lotus flower. And behold, the jewel in the flower. That is your wisdom, body, speech, and mind. The qualities and the activities of all the Buddhas, all the enlightened ones, all the bodhisattvas. And at the center of the diamond, at our heart center, is the Shri, is the primal cause in our heart center, the primal cause to be of benefit to all sentient beings through this indestructible diamond that is in this lotus flower. The lotus is pure, clean, unstained. The diamond is indestructible, radiant. We recite the mantra in English. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. So now we recite this a mile around in English, out loud. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the lotus jewel, the primal cause. Behold the lotus jewel, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Behold the jewel in the lotus, the primal cause. Now recite in Sanskrit. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. Now continue your Shamatha, calm abiding meditation. Keep your back straight and continue to recite the mantra in English. Behold the jewel and the lotus, the primal cause, over and over again. Or you can recite the Sanskrit Om Mani Padme Hum Shri as the object of your shamatha meditation. Continue your shamatha meditation. Take a deep breath through both nostrils. Bring it down 4 inches below the navel and hold the breath. Exhale, squeeze the abdomen, push all that stale, negative, dark air out and hold the breath. Breathe in and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Breathe in and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Relax and breathe normal. Open your eyes. Okay, that concludes our meditation practice for today. Was that helpful?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we'll
Thank
continue
you.
building on this meditation. So this is something that you can do on your own, develop your own personal practice. This is what it needs to be. This is what you do exactly as we did it today. The opening prayers, the 4 thoughts to turn the mind to the Dharma, the method of the stages of meditation, loving kindness, compassion, joy and equanimity, bodhicitta. And next is Shamatha meditation. So there's many ways to do the Shamatha, so we'll become more familiar with that as we move along. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. All right, so next week we'll continue with our discussion of the 6 human realms. There's still a little bit more to talk about, and we'll continue with Shamatha meditation again next week as well. We'll have a little bit of an explanation of the next stage, which is the Vipassana meditation. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and that will conclude this April 5-week teaching that we've been engaged in, and we can talk about what we'll do next at the same time. So don't forget that we're going to be using this email, or rather this Zoom address moving forward, starting tomorrow with Buddhism 101. We'll continue with this, and we'll and the Thursday night meditation of Medicine Buddha will continue with this.
Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome. We still need to do our dedication prayers, so don't go away. It's important to do our dedication. This seals the merit. We're not losing the merit. We have attained a very high level at this point. We need to seal this. So we recite the dedication prayer on page 21 and 22, the dedication prayer by Lord Jigden Sumgun. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious kind root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana and the innate word of virtue not result in the eight worldly concerns, the four causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Sravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Maras and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Om, Ah, Om. Om, Ah, Om. Om, Ah, Om. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Lance. See you all. See you, Gary.
Yes,
See you, Karina.
See everyone.
bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. If you have any questions, I can stay around for a couple minutes. So thank you for coming.